Hello everyone, now we are starting with the second video in the series and we will be now setting up Selenium WebDriver with Python. So first of all, we should install Python. So in order to install Python, we'll open a browser, type Python download. So here, download Python. So we'll click on that. This is the latest version at the time of recording the video. If you see something else here, let's say when you're watching the video, please go for the latest one. So here I'm installing it for Windows, although you can install for any operating system. So I'll click on Windows, scroll down, I'll go for Window Installer 64-bit. Click on that, please. It is downloading. We'll go to downloads and see, right click on it, run as administrator. It's always a good idea to run it as administrator. Then they can ask you a question from user account control. Do you want to allow this app to make any changes? Click on yes. So you will see window like this. In this, the location is written that Python will be installed at this location. You can just click on install now. Setup is in progress. So it's installing all the libraries. So setup was successful. We can click on close. So Python is installed, but where to execute Python? We need editor also. So editor to run Python commands is, which we are using in this, is PyCharm. So PyCharm Community Edition download, we'll click on that. And click on the first icon here. So here, this is Python IDE for data science and web development, guys. This is a trial version, but we'll move down. This is PyCharm Community Edition and it is open source. So go for this option here. We'll click on download. If you want to go for other operating system, you can choose OS here. So you will see options here for different OS. So I want it for Windows. So I'm choosing Windows. Here, click on download. The download is in progress. So we'll go to the downloads. I'm waiting for download to get completed and then we'll install PyCharm. The downloading is taking little time. All right, the download is completed. Now we'll start with the installation. Right click on it, run as administrator. Guys, after run as administrator, if you see any window which is asking you to give permission, please click on yes, because saying run as administrator, you're actually using your administrator privileges. You can directly click on run also. The only difference is run as administrator. Sometimes, we have some issues with the privileges of users if it is. Anyhow, we get this window. This is a welcome screen. We click on next. This is the location where it will get installed. If you want to change the location, you can browse and change it. I'm okay with this location, so I'm keeping it as it is. Click on next. I want all the icons to be created. So I'll choose all the options here. They're saying do you want to create a desktop shortcut? Yes. You want add open folder as a project? Yes. So I'm keeping all the options. Click on next. So this is just with which name this will be installed. So it will be installed under this name. We'll click on install, installation initiated. So it's installing all the libraries required. Installation is completed. It's asking you to reboot now, or I want to manually reboot later. You can choose any of the option. If you're saying reboot now, your system will restart. And if you want to reboot it later, let's say you're working on something important and you want to reboot later, you can keep this option also. But please make sure to reboot it. I'll click on finish. Once the installation of PyCharm is completed, let's start PyCharm. Let's open it. So you will be typing PyCharm in the search box. And I get this option here. Guys, at the time of recording, this is the version I'm working on. Let's say when you're watching the video, the version is different. Please go for that. So I'll click on this. It'll give me this option. So this is the window of PyCharm. We can click on new project. So let's click on new project here. Let's give name to the project. So let's say I'm naming it as my project. I don't want any welcome script. So I'm just keeping these options unchecked and I'll click on create. So the project is created. This is my project. We already installed PyCharm Python. So let's see what are the steps. So step number 1 was installation of Python. Step number 2 is installation of PyCharm. We did that. Step number 3 is configuring Selenium client libraries. That means Selenium with it. So we'll now configure Selenium with PyCharm. So let's see how to do so. In order to do so, we'll go to the official website of Selenium, go to downloads, and we'll scroll down and you will see here Python. This is the version of Python at the time of recording. I'll click on API docs, scroll down, look at this. This is the command to install Selenium with Python. So we'll copy this command, Control C, go to PyCharm, and we'll go to terminal. Here you can paste the same command, enter. So packages are being installed. They're saying a new release of pip is available. If you want to use it, you can run this command. I'm going to use this command also. Let's upgrade it. Although this is not mandatory, we are just doing it to upgrade it. Okay, so we are done. This is one way of installing Selenium with Python. Other way is also there. For that, you can go to File, come to Setting. Here the themes are also there, guys. If you want to change the themes, you can make it light or dark. Depends. If you think you like light mode little more, then go for that. So I'm keeping it light. I find it more comfortable. So I'll come to this. I'll go to Project, go to Python Interpreter, click on this plus sign, and here you will type Selenium. Once you type Selenium, it is telling you the version also. So official Python bindings for Selenium WebDriver. This is the version. You can click on install package and this will install. This is another way of doing the same. In any case, guys, you type Selenium here and nothing is showing up, then please click on this refresh button and you will see Selenium, because I've seen people facing this issue a lot. So if you are facing the same issue, like you type Selenium here, nothing is showing up, please refresh. Anyhow, package Selenium installed successfully. Please click on close. I can click on OK here. Let me minimize the terminal. I'm closing this welcome screen. Alright, now let's create a new file in it. So I'll right click on my project name, go to new, click on file. And here I'm typing file name as automation.py. Py is extension which you need to have, and click on enter. You will see the file created here. Now guys, we'll start with the code. I'll tell you the scenario first. So the scenario is I want to open a website. So let's say open website, and for this example I'm using a website. So this is the URL I'm using for demo. So I'll tell you about this project. You need to enter your username, password, click on login and see whether it is working fine or not. Let's say this is the scenario. These are the accepted username and this is the password. So first, let's say I want to open this website. So step number 1, as a manual tester, if I have to go for, my step number 1 will be, so for automation, step number 1, open browser. Of course, I need to open a browser, then only I can type any URL. So this is my step number 1. Now step number 2 is type URL. So which URL? This is the URL. Let's say step number 3 is type username, type password. And step number 4 is click on login button. Alright, if I have to test this, I'll test manually. If I have to test this is what I'll be doing. I'll open browser first, type URL, type username, type password and click on login button. Let's see how with automation I can automate the browser and let browser do all these things automatically. So for that, first I'll go to my script here. And first thing guys, you need to understand here is we will be using a reference variable called driver. It could be anything. I'm using as driver. You can use any name here. So driver is a reference variable assigned. And here I'll write WebDriver. I'll tell you what WebDriver is. So WebDriver dot, if you see nothing is coming up, that means this is not recognized now. So what you need to do, put your cursor on top of it, and they are asking you to import this. Why we have to import this? Because first of all, two things are there which you are not supposed to import. One, if it is your own file. Second, if it is inbuilt. So WebDriver is neither inbuilt nor your file. So what you need to do is you need to import this name from Selenium package which you have installed. So we already configured Selenium package. In Selenium package, WebDriver library is there. What is WebDriver library? I'll let you know that. So let's first import this and I'll let you know that. It's asking you all the options. Do you want to import this? Chromium Edge. I'll go to the last one, that is Selenium WebDriver. So we'll click on that. Now what is WebDriver? Let's understand that better. Guys, WebDriver is actually an interface which is parent of all the browsers. So browsers are child of WebDriver. So that means Google Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, Internet Explorer, they are taking all the methods from WebDriver. All the methods are inherited from WebDriver. They may have their own methods too, but common methods are inherited from WebDriver. Now WebDriver have all the method to automate the browser. So when you imported Selenium package, when you installed Selenium package as a step number 3, what you did, actually configured all the Python files in which the methods to automate browsers are there. Okay. If I want to automate a browser, of course, as a tester, I'm not going to write code to automate the browser, right? The methods are already created. I have to just use them. Where those methods are created? Those methods are created in Selenium. Selenium client libraries, that means Selenium bindings with Python. What you actually configured as a Selenium with Python is nothing. Actually, it is a Python files in which all the methods are already created to automate the browser. So here, if I'm writing WebDriver dot, I want to use all the methods of WebDriver. So when I say WebDriver dot, I can see name of the browsers here. If you want to use Internet Explorer, you can use that. If you want to use Chrome, you can use that. If you want to use Firefox, you can use Firefox. It depends. But make sure whatever you're choosing, you must have browser installed for that. And it should be updated. For this example, I'm using Firefox. You can use Chrome also. I'm using Firefox. Command's going to be same. Doesn't matter which browser you're picking. So I'm writing Firefox. So this will open the Firefox browser. So my step number 1 is done. Open the browser. Step number 2 is type URL. So let me copy this URL first. So Control C. Now, what is the command to open any URL? For that, you will write a reference variable driver dot. Now, when you write dot, you get all the methods which are coming from this here. So all the methods will be there. So get, I'll use get. Get is to open the URL. And here you will paste the URL. Let's see whether it is working or not. So I'm going to execute this. And see, it opened the browser and type the URL. So these are the commands to open the browser and type URL. Now our step number 3 is type username. So in order to type username, first see this website here. Guys, this is the username, this is the password field. Now I want to interact with this field. I already opened this URL, but now I want to interact with username edit box and password edit box. Then I want to click on this login button. One thing you need to understand here is all these things which you see on a web page is called elements. Username, it is an element. Password is an element. This button is an element. This text box is an element. All these things which you see on a web page are called elements. So there are two things on which your Selenium WebDriver works. That is elements and element locator. What are the different elements we have? Elements are edit boxes, text boxes, then you have links, buttons, images, radio buttons, checkboxes, etc. So these are elements. Could be anything which you see on a web page are elements. But now what is element locators? Element locators are actually to find out the location of these elements, address of these elements. Otherwise, there are many edit boxes on a page. How come you will find that which edit box you want to interact with? You must know the address of that particular edit box. Address of that particular edit box is called element locators. Now, how you can find address of any edit box or any element on a page? If I want to say that I want to know your address, you give street name, house number, right? These street name, house number are address locators. Exactly same way, in Selenium also you have something called element locators which gives you the location of these elements. And these locators are ID, then we have name, then we have CSS Selector, then we have XPath, then we have link text, partial link text, also we have tag name and class name. So these are 8 element locators with the help of which you can locate the elements. Please make sure the hierarchy must be like this as per the priority. For example, first we should look for the ID. If we don't get ID, then go for name, then go for CSS Selector, XPath and so on. What are these? Where we can find it? Let's see practically. So this is my page. If I want to see element locator for this element, I'll right click on it. I'll go to inspect and here you go. This is your class name. Let me just put this side. This is your class name. This is ID. This is name. So out of those element locators, I found name, ID, class. You can also find tag name and you can right click on this code, go to copy and you can find XPath as well as selector. This is CSS Selector. So all the element locators might not be present on the page, but you will find most of them. That's why you got 8 options because you can find any one of them and you can use it. So I need to find the element locator of the element so that I can point to exact element. So when you put your cursor on it, see, this element is getting highlighted. Please make sure you cross check like this also. Sometimes it happens that you inspect element, it may highlight some other element. So cross-checking whether it is highlighting the same element or not, when you put cursor here, it is highlighting the same element or not, it's very important. So here, ID I'm getting, and as per my instructions, if you get ID, ID should be your first choice because ID is unique. Then the second choice should be name, then you can go for CSS Selector, XPath and so on. Okay, so here I will choose ID. So copy this ID, Control C and go to your code. Now what I need to do, let me close this. Now what I need to do, I'll write driver dot and guys here you will use a code find element. I want to find element on this web page, no? So on this web page, I want to find this element. So I'm saying please go on this URL and find this element. Now find element, they will say, okay, I'll find element, but by which element locator? So I will write by dot ID. I'm writing ID here, although it's giving me again red line beneath it. Yes, if you see any red line beneath any code you're writing, just put your cursor on top of it and see what they are suggesting you. They're telling you import this also because by is again in a library in Selenium. So that we need to import because this is not inbuilt in Python. And this you have not created, so you need to import it. So we'll click on this line import and it will automatically import it. By.id. Now what you will be doing, comma, you will give the value of ID. We already copied it from here. This is the ID's value. So Control C, go to this, Control V in quotes, and then you can close this bracket. Dot. All right. So with this command, you found the element called username because I gave location of this. But I don't want to just get into this and stay here. I want to type something here. In order to type or perform some actions on the elements, we do have list of actions. Actions are click is to click on the button. Clear is to clear if something is written over there. Send keys is to type something into the element. And last is get text is to fetch text from the element. If you want to fetch some text message or error message or text written over the element, if you want to fetch that, it's get text. There are many actions that you can perform on elements, but these are the most common actions that we perform. In our example, we will be using send keys because I want to type something over. So I'll go here and I'll write dot send keys. And what I want to type here, let's see the list of accepted usernames. So I'm choosing the first one, standard user. And here I'm typing this. Let's see till here whether the script is working or not. And then we will keep on adding into it. I always advise you guys, rather than doing the complete script and then checking it, it's a good idea to first write one line, test it whether it's working fine, and then you can keep on adding into it. So I'm running this. It opened the URL and it typed username here. Now the next step is very simple. Exactly same way you will type password here. So let's inspect the element for password. For different browsers, guys, you get different options. This is Firefox. So in Firefox, the inspect button is coming like that. One more point, guys, came into my mind. Most of time students ask me that if we are inspecting element on one browser and I'm writing it for other browser, can we do so? Yes, of course you can do so. Because your website or your application is same. It doesn't matter which browser you are inspecting with. Yes, the way of inspecting on different browser is different, but your element's value or element locator is not going to change. So it doesn't matter which element you are inspecting or where you are inspecting, it's going to be same. So here I cross-checked. Yes, it is password. See, highlighting here. So always check that. Now I'll choose ID here. So ID is password. Let's copy this and write the same code in Python. So here I'll write driver dot find element by dot again ID comma, and I'll pass the value here dot send keys, and let's see what is the accepted password. It is this. Control C, and here I'll paste it. Last step is to click on login button. This is the action you will be using is dot click. So right click on it, again inspect. Let's pick ID here. Control C, go here, and again the same command, driver dot find element by dot ID comma, paste the value, and then it's not send keys because you're not typing something. The method gonna be click. Let's see, guys, how it works. Let's execute it. So URL opened, we typed and we logged in. So this is a simple step, simple commands to automate browsers. So easy. Selenium commands are super easy because the methods are already created in the Python libraries. You have to just use them, and you should just know how to use them. So in order to use all the methods, we created a reference variable like we create any object. So here we are creating a reference variable. So this is a reference variable which will refer all the methods of this class. And now you're just writing driver dot and you're getting all the methods here. And you can use them. As a tester, you should just know how to call methods. So guys, these are simple steps to automate the browsers. I hope you like it, and as I always say, please practice to be more confident on it. So practice on different websites. All the websites over the internet are your projects. You can go to any website, test it, and check how you can automate it. With that note, guys, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for now.